In this video, I want to focus on the object exploration and object recognition capabilities of the viewer video tracking software. So I'm in the configuration panel, and there's an additional tab I loaded, the object recognition plugin. And this plugin offers additional parameters to configure object exploration events and also an additional data analysis I will show you later. And here now in this box here you can define how the software should measure object exploration, and there are various parameters where you can define values and thresholds how the software should measure these events. So for example, of course the animal should be close to the object, so you can define a maximum distance allowed. You can define an angle of view or a gaze, so the software makes sure the animal looks to the object, is orientated to the object. You can define a maximum velocity allowed close to the object, because when the animal explores an object, it's slow, of course. And you can also define a minimum duration, so a minimum time the animal should spend close to the object. You have also additional parameters. You can define which parameters you want to use. You can check and uncheck these boxes quite easily. So you have then a table with two objects, and you can name various objects and select which one you want to use in this experiment. And when I now switch to data acquisition, I just pause the experiment, I restart the experiment, and I bring up the live data view. Now we see an additional pop-up window here. Here you see a scheme of what's going on in the video. So this here is a symbol for the animal. These are the two objects. You see the orange point is the closest point from the animal to the object, and we constantly measure the distance of the animal to the objects, the gaze, the angle of view, and the speed of the animal. These are the values you see here in this image. And these are the parameters that are selected in the configuration to be important. And so as long as the parameters are red, they are outside of the values and thresholds you defined in the configuration. And as soon when they are green, they are fulfilled. So the values you defined in the object exploration configuration are fulfilled. So the values are inside the threshold. So, and when all parameters are green, then it's an object exploration, and the duration starts to count here. And above here are all inspection events listed that have happened so far. So this gives you a nice evaluation. And now that we had an object exploration here, all parameters were green, and you see an additional row coming up here. So these values here give you a nice overview of what's going on in real time. It helps you to define the parameters in the beginning. So at the moment the animal is not looking at the object on the left side. Now it's not looking at the object at all. So let's see which is here again. Now everything is green. We have an object inspection event based on the parameters you defined, and this is how the software measures. It's very reliable 3-point tracking, so we always know where the nose is, which of course is very important for object recognition. And we have additional parameters, not just the nose is in a zone, but we really calculate distance, orientation of the animal, duration spent to the object, velocity spent close to the object. These are all the parameters you can define, so the software can measure very exactly the object recognition events, and based on your definitions. So when I now stop the experiment, you're asked to save the data. And now when I switch to the object recognition tab, I see the specific parameters important for object recognition experiments. So in this table, each line is one experiment. So I already did an experiment before. This is the one we did here in this line. And when I click between the lines, you see the inspection events over time shown in this graph. This is a Gantt graph. We also have a bubble graph which shows a bit more impressive which objects are more interesting for the animal. So the bigger the circle, the longer the animal spent close to this object and explored this object here. So this is quite nice here. These are all the raw data, the inspections. When I click here, you see the raw data for this experiment, and you can switch between different groups of animals you calculate, you do here. So this is quite nice, and this contains everything you need to do object recognition experiments and data analysis inside the software. So I hope you liked the little movie. Thank you very much.